move to confirmation of agenda. Are there, to the board meeting agenda. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2B2, the board may take action on items of business not appearing on the posted agenda upon a determination by a 2/3 vote of the board, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present.
All right, I'm in.
Thank you. A unanimous vote of those present that there is a need to take immediate action, and that the need for action came to the attention of the local agency subsequent to the agenda being posted as specified. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda for June 18th, 2020?
No, Board Chair.
Seeing and hearing none, the agenda stands confirmed as presented. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the regular meeting minutes of May 15th, 2020? Hearing none, there are no corrections to the minutes. They stand approved as presented. Public comments. In accordance with Executive Order N-25-20 and guidance from the California Department of Public Health on gatherings, remote public participation is allowed and being accepted by email to otp@collegeofthedesert.edu and read into the record during public comments. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person. Julia, have we received?
Yes, we received one public comment.
Would you read that, please?
Yes. It is so odd to address the board in this manner. I much rather address you all in person. This report has been received from Felix Marwenda Denote. I'll come chat at you when we overcome this pandemic. About 2 weeks before the mandated closure, I sent an email to all faculty trying to organize what is now known as the Faculty of Color Caucus of College of the Desert. It was a move triggered by despair and providence. Our first agreed upon purpose for the caucus states, identify and act upon issues that affect people of color in our community, especially as they relate to the function of the college. That is why we organized the protest in support of our students of color and the Black Lives Matter movement. We applaud the recent BOT resolution affirming our commitment to our Black and African American students. Most of the recommended actions are welcomed and quite good. We've caught wind of some of the work our administration are doing behind the scenes that will inevitably help the movement for social equity in our college. Our administration already contacted the Public Safety Academy to explore ways of ensuring our cadets graduate and are aware of the burden by the United States' troubled racial and socioeconomic history. I would also like to thank Vice President Neary and Vice President Baker for reaching out to us to begin this dialogue. Item 10.08 in the consent agenda in front of you, titled Equal Employment Opportunity Fund Multiple Method Allocation Model Certification, is a form that, quite frankly, I have never seen before until it was pointed out by another member of our caucus. What we read made us a bit uneasy for various reasons, which I do not care to go into during this forum. We do not wish for you to remove this item from consent, as it will inevitably hurt our students. What we do demand is a different process that ensures the voice of faculty of color are truly heard. Our caucus is committed to engagement in the process, and I do not mean more committees. I mean more dialogue with the people at this table. We feel like our voices are drowned in committees where minorities are in the minority. EDGE this summer, just like all summer courses, is being offered exclusively online. The real strength of the program is based, in my opinion, on strong connections we make with our students. Our challenge was how to deliver on this goal in the online format. Laura, Veronica, and I are constantly meeting with students through Zoom and helping them with their questions, fears, and anxieties of starting colleges during difficult times. The good news is our students are feeling supported. Their feedback has been amazing. We'll share all that with the board once we compile all the data. I honestly can say this is probably the most important session of EDGE we have ever conducted and the most difficult. Nonetheless, we are accomplishing our goals. Thank you, and sincerely, Professor Felix Marwenda Denote.
Thank you. Were there any other public comments received?
No, there has not.
Thank you. President Kinnaman, your public updates. President Kinnaman, you are muted.
I am sorry about that. Structural racism continues to be rampant, and individually and collectively, we must recognize and own our responsibility in addressing this truth. Community colleges were designed to be a catalyst for change and to help minorities gain economic mobility. Education should be taking the lead in the Black Lives Matter movement. To be silent is to be complicit, and College of the Desert has a duty to students, faculty, staff, and the community to speak out against institutional racism and systemic oppression. College of the Desert is committed to action. On today's board agenda, we have a resolution affirming our commitment to action and supporting student success for Black and African American students. At this time, we will be silent for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to remember George Floyd. Thank you. Now I would like to ask Vice President Dr. Annabelle Neary to share information that the college will take for immediate action on and into the incoming academic year to demonstrate our action and not just words.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. I'm proud to say that under Dr. Kinnaman's immediate direction with executive cabinet approval, College of the Desert has already made progress and secured action steps that meet and exceed the Chancellor's Office and our community's call to action. First, we were invited and agreed to join the California Community College Equity Leadership Alliance, along with over 60 other Cal community colleges. The USC Race and Equity Center initiated and will facilitate this alliance with critical steps to address individual and systemic racism. This includes a racial equity e-convening series delivered by 62 experts from across the nation, a virtual equity research portal available to all employees, and distribution of 3 campus climate surveys for student, faculty, and staff created by the Center's National Assessment of Collegiate Campus Climate, NACCC, that includes race, discrimination, diversity, and other related topics. In fall 2019, COD had already had a partnership with the USC Race and Equity Center, and we did administer the NACCC survey to students regarding race and the campus climate. We will be reviewing the results of that student survey this year. In fall 2020, COD has been invited to participate in the USC Race and Equity Center's Equity Now, an e-convening series of 4-session professional learning program. Lastly, this upcoming academic year, COD will be participating in the USC Equity Institute with 4 cohorts of 25, where 100 employees, leadership, faculty, and staff will be taking 8 courses together. The courses include, but are not limited to, quote, Foundations of Racial Equity in Higher Education, quote, Talking about Race, Racism, and Racial Inequalities, and quote, Microaggressions and Stereotype Threat, Navigating Visible Racism in the Classroom. The first cohort will include the entire executive cabinet, members of the Senate exec, members of the CSEA exec, and other leadership groups. Upon completion of the Equity Institute, 100% of all leadership will have a certified, authentic University of Southern California Rossier School of Education Executive Leadership Certificate in Race and Equity. Also, the Chancellor's Office call to action includes a review of police and first responder training and curriculum. We are pleased to note that the dean, leadership, and faculty of those areas have met multiple times to begin that dialogue and process. In fact, the college has secured 2 experts to assist the department with rewriting and creating curriculum around social justice, equity, anti-racism, and community policing. In addition, the Senate leadership has issued a statement of equity where they are committed to take on the work of inclusive classrooms and anti-racism curriculum starting this fall. We will be here to support, facilitate, and provide resources for that critical work of our faculty. That concludes my update, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neary. Next, I would like to ask Vice President John Ramont to discuss the 2020-2021 tentative budget adoption.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. If the slides could be put up, please.
What number is it, Julia?
Yes, please link to study session, which is item 18.01.
Okay, thank you. If you could advance the next slide, please. Today, we're going to be presenting the tentative budget, and the tentative budget truly is something of, and this time around, a placeholder budget, because as I put here, the overall theme that we've got right now is uncertainty. But what it does is it gives us the legal authorization to start spending or incurring expenditures as of July 1st so that we can stay operational. The budget that I'm presenting to you today is based on the governor's May revision proposal. Since that time, the legislature has passed their own version, which is dramatically different than what the governor had proposed. However, they're still in negotiations, and that is going to be changed. So again, today is very much a placeholder budget. And when we bring the adopted budget to you in September or possibly October, depending on what happens at the state level, but that will be based on what we have from the state adopted budget at that time. Next slide, please. So for the current status of the way things are, the economy has come to a halt because of COVID-19. And daily here in the Valley, we see all of the cities in the Valley trying to scramble to really adjust to this. And we're seeing some major and dramatic budget cuts across the Valley to municipal governments. And we're seeing cuts into vital services such as fire and police and and all sorts of things to try to meet this. At the state level, right now, they're estimating a shortfall in excess of $54 billion. When the governor proposed his budget, it was based on utilizing a number of factors to try to create a multi-year plan of balancing this out and trying to minimize cuts while providing something of a glide slope as districts responded to this. But it was initially a 23% drop in our Prop 98 revenues. However, the reductions that were being proposed wound up being about 10% of the projected local control, the student-centered funding formula. The legislature rejected the cuts that the governor had proposed and proposed their own budget that had COLA and growth in it. With that $54 billion shortfall, their proposal looks to meet that shortfall through large cash deferrals, which are simply, we'll pay you next year for what we owe you this year. And that creates a snowball that during the Great Recession was one of the tools they used. And it puts a lot of the burden on local districts to be able to handle and balance that out. And it's a very difficult thing. So, but as we speak, the scenarios keep changing. So if you can go to the next slide, please. But I wanted to highlight real quick that the legislative budget proposal assumes the passage of the HEROES Act and loads that into upfront in the budget, and then assumes that if it doesn't pass, that there will be trigger cuts that take effect as of October 1st. It rejected the Department of Finance projections for revenues in favor of some more optimistic projections. They do rely on cash deferrals to balance the budget. And again, that expectation is that local districts would handle it through a combination of cost reductions, improved efficiencies, internal borrowing, as well as external borrowing to meet the needs to try to get through. And if those revenue assumptions aren't met in the long run, the concern is that it's kind of a kick the can down the road look, and that it could result in larger cuts in future years. Next slide, please. So just real quickly, I wanted to highlight a couple of things that were different between what the governor proposed in the legislature. So the governor had provided no COLA and a 10% cut to projected student-centered funding formula rates. The legislative proposal actually provides growth and COLA as if there were no shortfalls. The governor's model did include some deferrals of $330 million. In worst case scenario, the legislature is going to potentially defer over $1 billion to the community college system. There were some other structural minor things. One of the more notable is that the legislature would also eliminate the new Calbright online college. Next slide, please. So where we are now, and it keeps changing as we go. So the governor and the legislature are still negotiating. They do have the budget passed in the House and the Senate, and it's with the governor right now. And again, they're still negotiating. And that budget that's passed is expected to be amended significantly by July 1st. In fact, we were told by the chancellor's office to expect potentially two budget junior bills, they call them. And one would be before July 1st, reflecting some of the compromises that'll be made in this deal, as well as some after July 1st, and potentially in the fall when they see what the revenues actually are realized on. There's numerous trailer bills in the works as well that would fine tune a lot of this, because there's a lot of questions about some of the programs and how they would be funded. And again, we've had warnings now a couple of times about possible mid-year cuts, which are always the hardest thing, because we set our budget based on expected revenues coming in. And if we get mid-year cuts, we generally can't respond appropriately to reduce expenditures fast enough. And that definitely is a hit to our reserves. Next slide, please. So the current budget outlook, what we're presenting today and asking approval for, reflects again the governor's May revision, which would give us about 71.6 million in revenues overall. Expenses and transfers for next year projected at 78.3 million, which would be a $6.7 million deficit. Most of the CBOs around the state see that this more appropriately reflects the economic reality that we would eventually need to adjust to, and this does not reflect what we're going to get eventually from the state. So again, when we bring back the adopted budget to you, hopefully at that time we'll have a little better information from the state. This budget also reflects some other actions being brought to you today in order to make sure that we set aside reserves and can handle the cash deferrals internally as best as possible. Next slide, please. So when we look at the things that the different variables that affect our future budgets, first off, the length and depth of the economic slump that's caused by the whole COVID-19 thing. That's, we're waiting to see, how far, how deep, because I really don't feel like it's hit bottom yet. We haven't seen the numbers turn around the economy yet. It also depends on the level of federal assistance, whether it's the HEROES Act or what version of the HEROES Act. It also depends on how quickly the economy recovers. And we're very dependent on income tax on capital gains. Our state budget is just built that way. And then finally, also student enrollment will have significant effect on our future budgets. And all of these variables right now are very uncertain at this time. No matter which one that you look at, it's completely unclear right now. So it makes it very difficult to do any kind of reasonable projections. And it's more like looking into a black crystal ball because things do change just continually every day. Next slide, please. So the next steps for this is the state right now, again, they're working on that negotiation and they're going to amend the budget that was passed. That budget was passed to meet the statutory deadlines in order for them to continue to get paid at the state level. August revenue forecast revisions are expected to come out from the Department of Finance, and that's going to be based on the late collections of income tax and property taxes as the deadlines were delayed. Again, September, potentially October, we're going to be looking for the final COD budget adoption. We're going to try to stick to that September though. And again, that will be based on the amended state budget after all the negotiations are done. And again, we'll be looking to see if there's going to be any October budget triggers beyond that or mid-year adjustments. Next slide, please. So final thoughts, again, that theme is, uncertain. And of course, it's very unsettling. And to manage into this, it requires very prudent fiscal management for us to be very conservative on our costs and our expenses and how we manage into things. And there's a great need for maximum flexibility all the way around as we're highly regulated in what we do. We're going to be looking for flexibility to be able to offset some of the things. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Vermont. I'd ask the chair, would you like for us to defer questions until the item comes later, or would you?
I think it would be more appropriate if we wait until the item.
Okay. I think Carlos probably would have held up a card on me. I just looked at him. So that concludes public updates. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kinnaman. And I think I would recognize that Trustee Perez and Trustee Sanchez-Fulton have joined us earlier, correct?
Yes,
That's
thank
correct.
you. Thank you.
Trustee Perez and Trustee Sanchez-Fulton?
That is correct.
Thank you.
That's correct. Yep.
Sorry, I didn't acknowledge that you had joined earlier, but it occurred during a point that we couldn't interrupt. Thank you both. Written reports. reports that were submitted to the Office of the President will be incorporated into the meeting minutes and posted online. If you have not sent over your written report, please do so before the end of business today by emailing Julia Breyer in the President's office. Julia, would you please review which reports have been received as of this morning?
Yes, Board Chair, we have received reports from the College of the Desert Foundation, California School Employees Association, and the College of the Desert Academic Senate President. Those reports are, as you can see on the screen, uploaded for anyone's reference, and if I receive more, I will upload them accordingly.
As I have in the past, I want to encourage all units to make those reports as scheduled, because they are very important to the trustees to conduct our business. I would also like to take a moment to recognize Catherine Abbott as new to her position as College of the Desert Foundation. And we are happy to have you with us, Catherine. I don't know if she's online, but if she is, please accept our welcoming. We're looking forward to working with you. We go to governing board reports. Student trustee, this is the opportunity for you to talk about your work on the campus and the community and items of importance to the campus that you would like to bring up. So there's a 5-minute limit on your time. So student trustee Chavez Chaidez, do you have a report?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, fellow board members, Dr. Kinnaman, Executive Cabinet, and distinguished audience. I would like to start my report by thanking everyone that has supported me through my journey. My family, my friends, the Office of Student Life for always being there to mentor me and to help me achieve my goals. My bosses, Julie and Casey, for always motivating me to keep working hard. To my brother for always being there for me. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the students that have voted for me and demonstrated belief in me and my ability to represent their voice. I'm committed to being the student's voice around campus and during our board meetings. I would also like to officially introduce myself to the board. I was born in Stockton, California. When I was 8 years old, my parents decided to move back to Mexico, where I lived for 8 years. Before starting my senior year of high school in Mexico, I came to visit my brother in the valley. While I was visiting, I got to know more about College of the Desert, and in that moment, I just knew that I wanted to attend school there. So 2 months later, I was back in the valley and started my senior year at La Quinta High School. I graduated, and immediately after finishing high school, I started attending College of the Desert and became part of the EDGE program. My brother encouraged me to get involved on campus doing something I love, which was dancing folklorico. So I joined the College of the Desert Ballet Folklorico Sabor a Mi Tierra. And later on, I became president of the club and their inter-club council representative. During my involvement with the club, I was able to learn more about ASCOT and the Office of Student Life. I joined ASCOT as an independent senator and really enjoyed learning more about the importance of the student's voice and making a change. Last year, I served as ASCOT vice president, and my favorite experience is that I got the opportunity to work with other clubs from College of the Desert. I was able to work and meet with a lot of students that helped me see things from a different perspective and taught me about the different situations students face while attending College of the Desert. I also serve as one of the College of the Desert President Student Ambassadors, where I get the opportunity to show many high school students the amazing opportunities that College of the Desert offers. I'm a communications major, and I'm looking forward to transferring at the end of this year. During this last year at College of the Desert, I want to be able to show other students the importance of being involved and how important the student voice is for the staff at College of the Desert. Now more than ever, it's important to be united and to work together through this pandemic to let students know that there's someone here to support them to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stefan?
Thank you, Trustee Yant. First off, I would like to really welcome our new student trustee. I'm sorry we can't do this in person. I feel very awkward in this position, sitting here in front of a computer screen. But we would really like to extend our welcome and help you in any way that we can. I'd also like to welcome Catherine Abbott to the foundation. We always need more community involvement, and I know that you'll be a great help to us in your role on the foundation, with the foundation. I'd like to speak to the fact that I led the Pledge of Allegiance today. As you know, this last month, since our last board meeting, we have had Memorial Day and Flag Day, and the 4th of July is coming up. And many people think that, you know, they don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, but every time I say it, I remember those words that I say in it: liberty and justice for all. And that is what's been happening in our country. People need to stand up and speak for all lives, because all lives do matter. There's no one life that matters more than another. We all have something to contribute to our community, our country, our state, our world. And in light of that, this last month, I attended a town hall meeting, and I'd like to read to you about what it was about. It was sponsored by the Collaborative Learning Solutions, and they are committed to challenging the status quo in education and interrupting predictable outcomes for marginal youth. We say unequivocally that Black Lives Matter. We must continue to actively work to dismantle the structures, policies, practices, and belief systems that contribute to the world where an unarmed Black man, George Floyd, can be killed in the street. As millions of people across the country raise their voice in response, they use the platform to listen with individuals that are directly affected. And it was probably the most emotional experience I've ever encountered, because we were able to hear the heartfelt emotions of each individual that shared their story. And we were able to react in that in a listening circle. And the trauma of racial injustice, it was a setting where we could provide support, generate understanding, and create space for healing and transformation. It also, because the majority of us were educators in a K-12 setting somewhere, it gave us an opportunity to relate how we may interpret what we were going through and what the country is going through, and communicate that, and actually teach our children what justice and liberty for all is all about, because we are all in this together. We've been saying that throughout the pandemic. And I know sometimes we don't feel like we're all together because we aren't all in the same room. We aren't talking openly to one another. All we're doing is talking to a box or a screen, and we see ourselves and we see other people on our little Zoom meetings, and it's very, very difficult. I wanted to thank Felix for his public comments today. And I'd also like to thank Annabelle Neary. And I'd like to have copies of, if Felix wouldn't mind sending it to me, of what he communicated with us today, so that I could review it again. I'd also like copies of Annabelle Neary's report and the information that she provided. I'm proud of College of the Desert for being involved in the California Equity Institute, and for being proactive with USC and the Race and Equity Center. These are important issues, but we need to go further. We haven't done enough, and it's this has been going on. I was born in 1955. That tells you I'm old. And I have seen a lot of things happen in this country, things that I'm not proud to say that I'm an American when I review them, but I am proud to be an American because I think that together we are a community that can create change if we stick together. And I'm going to end there. Thank you very much. Oh, one other thing before I leave. I'll try to leave on a happier note. This weekend is Father's Day, And so I'd like to wish every father a happy Father's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stefan. Trustee Comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask that everyone please bear with me. I may go over my time, Mr. Chair, so please and thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate all our graduates. I would say that the class of 2020 is probably one of the most resilient graduating classes since the turn of the century. The obstacles that you, along with our faculty, had to endure do not go unnoticed. And next, I'd also like to congratulate Larissa Chavez and our new ASCOT officers on their elections. I'm looking forward to working with you all and listening to you all on how we can best serve our students here at the college. And also the warmest of welcomes to Catherine Abbott as well. Also, I want to mention that Cerritos College was the first community college campus to build housing for their homeless student population. I think that is exciting, and perhaps we have a model there that we can look at for our own institution. Furthermore, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of DACA this morning and LGBTQ rights last week. And although these are huge victories for civil rights and for human rights, there is still work that needs to be done. I'm going to end on a solemn note because I would be remiss if I did not. The last few weeks have been extremely difficult for me. Again, we have lost more people of color at the hands of institutional racism. And this is not a buzzword, but I'm simply calling it what it is. I am angry. I am hurt. Ahmaud Arbery should be allowed to run. Breonna Taylor should be allowed to sleep. George Floyd should be allowed to breathe. Black people should be allowed to live. Black lives matter. Justice should be brought forward to murderers despite their creed, color, or profession. President Kinnaman, I thank you for the statement that you released on behalf of the college. I think it was very important that you did so. I attended a few protests throughout the region. All were peaceful for the most part. I want to thank the organizers of these protests. They were extremely necessary. Civil demonstrations are necessary. Civil unrest is necessary. It is because of that I can sit here today. I want to thank the College of the Desert Faculty of Color Caucus for organizing their demonstration in which I was in attendance. Thank you for demonstrating to our students of color that we see and hear their pain and that we stand in solidarity. We won't give up until there is equity. To our College of the Desert Community of Color, I'm sorry if we have let you down. I understand we have a resolution today affirming our commitment to our Black community. I'm looking forward to voting on that, but it is not enough to tell. We must show. Executive Cabinet, I understand that we have made steps. Thank you for getting the ball rolling. We understand we must do better, and we will do better. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That ends my report.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson? Trustee Wilson? Trustee Wilson? Well, we will pass over her for a moment.
Wait, hello, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, I had to unmute myself. I wanted to thank Trustee Perez for his comments, most appreciated. Also want to recognize the wonderful news from the Supreme Court today as they rejected the administration's attempt to dismantle the DACA program, protecting undocumented immigrants brought to the country as children, and as well as the recent Supreme Court decision to support LGBTQ rights. Many thanks to Professor Maruenda Donate for all the work in coordinating the Faculty of Color Caucus protest on June 9th in support of our students, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the elimination of institutional racism. It was an excellent turnout, and while I was unable to attend, I was walking with you all in spirit and in support. Want to share the welcome to our new student trustee, Larissa Chavez-Chaidez. We hope you enjoy your time with the board, and we're here to help you learn your role. So feel free to contact me if you want to talk. Thank you to Dr. Neary for your public update regarding our participation with USSC's Race and Equity Alliance and what we're already doing with regard to that program. Would also like to extend a warm welcome to the Foundation's new Executive Director, Catherine Abbott. So pleased to have you on the board. You have great staff to work with, and you have a hardworking board. And I look forward to Trustee Perez's reports on your progress as you kind of roll up your sleeves and work on getting our foundation back on track. And again, many thanks to Dr. Christine Anderson for holding down the fort as the interim executive director. She did a fantastic job, and we were so fortunate to have her available to help. I would also echo Dr. Stefan's request to my Trustee Stefan for copies of the remarks that were made this morning. And to the public comment speaker on item 10.08, I have heard you and want to thank you for your comments. Let's see, many thanks to all for their continued hard work during these last several months. You have all had to reverse the normal and learn to work in a new normal. I know it's been challenging and time-consuming and difficult, but I want you all to know that I recognize how you all have risen and responded to the change we have had to make. A very, very grateful thanks to you all, and congratulations to the 2020 class. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Sanchez-Fulton?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So, I want to congratulate first and foremost the class, the resilient class of 2020. This has been an epic semester for our students, and I want to thank each and every one of them for being patient with us during this time. I look forward to seeing them in person for next year and having a graduation in person. So congratulations, Roadrunners, class of 2020. We are Roadrunners, we're a family, and in this special time, we're with you. Second of all, wanted to congratulate our new student trustee, Larissa. Your voice matters, Larissa. Our main goal as trustees is to serve the students. Please get involved. Please get involved on the state level for our region, for the fellow student trustees. When I was in college, I got involved in student government. This is your platform and this is your time to be that change agent for the future. We need you and we need your voice as a trustee. I've been attending several protests myself in the different cities of California, representing the 115 community colleges as your board of trustees. Very emotional. I'm very touched on the protests. They're not protests, they're voices. Everyone expressing their opinion of the hurt. Myself, as a woman of color, sadly to report, have experienced this disease, I call it, the ism that our world faces each and every day. That is why I ran for office. That is why I became a teacher, and want to see more. I stand with Floyd. We need more steps. We need to be better. I strongly agree. The words of Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Today's resolution is a victory for all of us, yet we need to go a step more and get another call to action. When I see the caucus, the color caucus, I wanted to cry. I personally, because I was a faculty member at the College of the Desert, and it was my dream to have that type of movement. So I commend the faculty, the staff, and the people who started this caucus at COD, being a former professor at COD. Thank you. Thank you for having this caucus on our campus. And thank you, Dr. Neary, for putting together the trainings that we'll be having for USC. This is a pivotal moment in the history of the College of the Desert. I am very honored to be part of this family and that we're all working in unity to push the envelope further here at COD. Our main goal is to make it a welcoming place for students, not only for students, but our faculty and our staff, that they're welcome, not because they're rich or poor or the color of their skin or they're related to someone. It's because they've earned it. It's very important that our college is in the forefront of leadership for the Coachella Valley. Structural racism is still and is rapid in our world, and we must recognize our own responsibilities in addressing this truth. I'm committed even more now to speak and speak out to my fellow brothers and sisters of our world. I'm committed to being better, and I'm asking that commitment from all of us to really take it one step further. It's not a one-time act, but we need to all be in this together with our LGBTQ, with all our communities, our Asian American communities, our brown communities. We need to also consider that not just a one-time resolution, but always. Real change will always begin within ourselves. And as ourselves, we can change the world and be those change agents that Nelson Mandela has taught us to be. I have also attended a lot of the state chancellor's meeting as your state trustee. Been going to one on homelessness. This Friday, I will be attending our next California League meeting representing College of the Desert. And what we have been forth is the changes in the curriculum throughout the community colleges, looking at our police academies. I'm very honored to be with all of you serving our students. I will give a report to my fellow board members of this Friday's meeting. And just want to thank everyone putting together each and every day working for our students. Thank you, and this ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Sanchez-Fulton. It does seem that time has speeded up. There are so many events happening so quickly. It seems that when we would normally be talking about commencement, it's already so far in our past. To say this is the first time in decades I have not attended a commencement ceremony. And I have to say I missed it. I don't think I would have said that in the past, but I can truly say I missed it. But I would say to our graduates, if you survived this year, there's real evidence that you will succeed in the future. So don't feel that you were deprived, feel that you were tested and that you came out ahead. I also want to take the time to express appreciation to our faculty, our staff, and our administration for what they have done. You know, if we step back for a second, and let's say a few years ago, we would say, let's convert the whole program from face-to-face to our response to that would probably be, well, we'll probably need a year and a half to consider how to do that. That would have been our typical response, but we did it in weeks. And we have to acknowledge the work of our faculty and our staff and administration in making that happen so quickly. It's really phenomenal. And at the same time, that challenge is not over with. I noticed in a news feed this morning that San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, their training academy, was just shut down today or yesterday because of 33 cadets testing positive for COVID. The challenge is not over with, and there are more things that we need to be prepared for and deal with as that challenge still exists. And at the same time, we have the opportunity to make changes in how we relate to one another. And I want to, again, express appreciation to our administration for getting College of the Desert involved in the USC Equity Program so quickly and being involved in that and hopefully being able to take a real leadership role so that we move from beyond statements to real action. And finally, I'd like to compliment Trustee Perez. I think your remarks this morning were heartfelt, poetic, and very meaningful. And I wouldn't begin to summarize them or restate them, simply say that I stand behind you and echo those. Thank you, Trustee Perez. So
Thank you.
Now to President Kinnaman for your remarks.
Thank you, Board Chair. My comments are similar but brief. I know it's an extremely emotional and challenging time for every one of us. And that, you know, it reminds us that we watch TV, we watch what's going on, and a lot of times we really, and I talk to my colleagues on Zoom, a lot of times we really don't know what's going on in their lives. So I should have started with saying, Larissa, congratulations. I'm glad you're officially a new student trustee. And then I'll go on. I'd like, on behalf of the Executive Cabinet, I'd like to acknowledge the board for their support and guidance during the most difficult time in any of our careers. And of course, we want to thank the students, faculty, and staff for your commitment as well. Being remote and sheltering at home is very difficult. However, it forces everyone to look in the mirror and remind ourselves of what our real priorities are. And so if there's anything about having to spend this much time remotely and away and reflecting and introspection, I think it really gives us an opportunity to find our best selves. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, President Kinnaman. Moving to consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So move, Dr. Steffen.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Trustee Sanchez Bolte.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
I would like to pull a few items. I would like to pull item 10.07, 12.01, and 12.02.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, may we have a roll call vote, President Kinnaman, to approve the consent agenda, accepting items 10.07, 12.01, and 12.02. President Kinnaman?
Still having challenge there. Student Trustee Chavez.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Yeah, aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. So let's move then to 10.07, personnel items, professional advancement. Do I have a motion to approve item 10.07 as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
So moved, Trustee Sanchez.
Okay, discussion on item 10.07.
Yes, I'd like to have a staff give an explanation on this because I'd like to have it in the brought forward in the minutes. If we could, please.
Okay, and both these are counselors. So can we have Vice?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I misnumbered. I was looking at 10.08. I'm sorry. I messed up.
Oh my, Carlos?
So, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yes.
So we would have to, there's a couple of things you can do. The first is that you can undo the adoption of the consent agenda. It feels cleaner that if I was chaired, I would probably encourage you to ask if there are any objections to removing 10.08 from consent and hearing it here, and then just take a separate action to adopt it. You'll still need to adopt or not the previous item that you're currently, so you'll have to do 4 different actions in this section.
So let's review. So we would first vote to accept 10.07.
Correct.
Then to see if we have any objections to bringing 10.08, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And then consider 10.08.
Correct.
Correct. All right. So let's.
And then you would proceed to 12.02 and 03.
Correct.
Or 1. Yep.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Carlos.
No, I just said thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. All right. So could I call for a roll call vote to accept item 10.07? President Kinnaman?
Yes. Student Trustee Chavez, excuse me.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. So now, board members, is there any objection to bringing forward item 10.08 from the consent agenda to action agenda? Do I hear an objection? Hearing no objection, we're bringing forward item 10.08 to action agenda. So 10.08 is on your screen, personnel items. Is there a motion to approve item 10.08?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
So moved, Wilson.
All right. Discussion, please.
This is the one that I would like to have staff give us more information on. I'm sorry, and I apologize again.
Okay. Yes, and looking at this, Vice President Ramon, is this under your area? Or
No, it's.
Can I speak to this one?
Mr. Chair, if it's not too much to ask, can we get Mike? Can you get the item pulled up on the screen?
It is there.
Is it? I got, for me it says regular board meeting.
backup information.
So Dr. Kinnaman, Dr. Neary wishes to address this item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. Thank you. So the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan is a legally required document that needs to be submitted annually. And the way we vet the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan is under the Diversity Committee. And the Diversity Committee role and products include reviewing the statistics around the hiring demographics of our applicants for all employee groups. So this year, when we reviewed, we noticed that the classified staff was extremely diverse in the applicant pools with an extremely diverse hiring. We did recognize in the committee that the diversity of the applicant pool and hiring for the faculty was not in place. So in fact, Diversity Committee actually made an initial recommendation about a mentoring program of faculty of color, which I happen to have volunteered for the upcoming classes. The Equal Employment Opportunity Plan also goes to the College Planning Council for approval there and is embedded in multiple groups. And just in case, for all of you, the Diversity Committee has appointments from the faculty, classified staff, and leadership. It is currently chaired by the Human Resources Manager. In this case, it would be Terry Wilson. And not only do I sit on that committee as well, but so does the Senate President.
Is there other discussion? Is there other discussion? President Kinnaman, would you then conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Shades.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan. Trustee Stefan. Trustee Perez. Trustee Perez.
Aye. I'm sorry.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Now move to item 12.01, courses approved by Curriculum Committee. Do I have a motion to approve 12.01 as presented?
So move.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
Wilson.
Any discussion? Item 12.01. Is there a discussion on item 12.01? Third opportunity, any discussion, 12.01? President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Chades.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan. Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excuse me, I'd like to chime in. I had some technical difficulties and I'm not sure which item we're on at this time, but I'd like to get my votes in if I could.
Carlos, please, can I have a ruling? Carlos?
Yes. So you can. So may I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I need permission from the chair.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So Trustee Stefan, are you asking just a clarifying question or are you trying to participate in the vote? Because the vote has already been taken.
I know the vote's already been taken, but I had technical difficulties. I was booted. It just shut down. Everything shut down, and I had to try to reboot.
Okay. And so you would like to be able to,
what I could do.
you would like to be able to participate in discussion on this item?
Well, not, no, but I'd like to participate in a vote, and I didn't get a vote on the other one that I had pulled. I wanted to have an affirmation on a vote on that as well.
Okay, I see.
10.07, I believe we're on 12.01 now, right?
I see. So you got it.
I lost. Yeah, I just wasn't able to be here.
I understand. I just wanted to clarify. Mr. Chair, so my recommendation is it sounds like you have the option to re-vote on item 10.07. Oh, 8, sorry. My apologies. 10.08.
10.08. I'm sorry.
And then then do it again for 12.01. You would need to start with making sure that the board is okay with that. So if there are no objections, option is probably the appropriate first step. And if there are objections, then you would just proceed to 12.02, I believe is the next item.
All right, thank you, Carlos. All right, board members, I'm asking consent to reopen item 10.08 for the purposes of revoting. Is there any objection to reopening it for purposes of revoting only? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote on item 10.08?
Okay. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
The motion carried unanimously.
Board members, I'm requesting your permission to reopen item 12.0 for the purposes of revoting. Are there any objections to that? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, could you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Moving now to item 12.02, approval of the 2021 college professor catalog. Is there a motion to approve item 12.02?
I'll make the motion, Dr. Stefan.
Is there a second?
Second, Wilson.
Any discussion on item 12.01?
If I may, Trustee Sanchez or Trustee Young, I'm sorry. I would like to hold this up because I know the public isn't there and they're not able to see this. This is a beautiful, beautiful catalog that we've produced this year. And I don't know how many people will have the opportunity to view it. I'd like to thank the Curriculum Council for all the hard work they do and the changes they made, and everybody that has worked hard on putting this catalog together for the 2020-21 school year. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I just felt it needed to be shared with the public at this time. Thank you so much for allowing me to do that.
Any other discussion? President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you all. We'll now move to action 14. Item 14.01, resolution number 061820-4, Desert Community College District Board resolution affirming our commitment to student success for Black and African American students. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number?
So moved. Trustee Sanchez.
Second, Trustee Perez.
Okay, you got ahead of me there, but So
I'm
it's
very
a,
passionate
we have
about that one.
we have a motion to approve it and a second, correct? So let me just finish reading it so we have it down correctly. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 061820-4, Desert Community College District Board resolution affirming our commitment to student success for Black and African American students as presented? I believe we have a motion from Trustee Perez, correct?
I was seconded. It was the first motion was Trustee Sanchez Fulton. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now we have it. Discussion, please.
Did you say call for the?
Is there any discussion? The resolution is now on your screen. I want to thank Trustee Sanchez Fulton for her work with the community college group that she's a part of to bring this forward. So is there any discussion on the resolution?
Yes, I was wondering if we could have somebody read that, please. So it was in the minutes.
Okay. Julia, do you have it in front of you?
Yes, Board Chair.
Can you read it, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas on April 22nd, 2020, the African American Student Success Virtual Town Hall was governed with over 1,000 California community college practitioners, policymakers, and national scholars to discuss financial aid reform, housing, food, technology, and transportation insecurities, impacts of COVID-19 on African American students, and policy recommendations to support this student population. And whereas on January 17, 2020, the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District acknowledged the contributions of African Americans and proclaimed the month of February 2020 as Black History Month. And whereas on May 25th, 2020, Mr. George Floyd, a Black man in Minnesota, died face down under the knee of a white police officer. And whereas reactions to the unjust death of Mr. Floyd have varied and the nation continues to witness the Black community pushed to the edge by systemic racism. And whereas California community colleges represent and serve one of the most diverse populations in the world in terms of race, ethnicity, language, culture, nationality, socioeconomic class, age, physical ability, sexual orientation, and religious beliefs. And whereas the California community colleges unwavering commitment to diversity and inclusion requires that we advocate and employ our collective voice to identify and eliminate barriers to equity, and that we act deliberately to create a safe and inclusive environment where individual and group differences are valued and leveraged for our growth and understanding as an educational community. Whereas almost 3/4 of California's Black undergraduates, 72%, are enrolled in a California community college, making the CCC system the primary source of higher education for members of the demographic group. Whereas the overwhelming majority, 77 of Black students attend community college part-time, fewer than 12 units in a term due to employment, family, and other commitments. And whereas the Black community college students are adult learners who work full-time attending college part-time, have family commitments, responsibilities, and struggle with basic needs and securities. The students who need the most get the least financial support. And whereas California community colleges receive the least amount of per student funding in comparison to the state's other public educational sectors. University of California, $33,569, California State University, $18,445, California Community Colleges, $8,306, K-12, $12,018. Whereas nearly 2/3 of Black high school graduates are eligible to apply for admission to the CSU and UC systems. And whereas 35% of Black high school graduates completed the AG course requirements compared to 52% of white high school graduates. And whereas 27% of Black families live below the poverty line, less than $24,399 per year, compared to 16% for all California families. 48% of Black families earn less than $48,678 per year, compared to 36% for all California families. Whereas the ratio of Black students to tenured and tenure-track Black faculty at 81-1 in California community colleges, while the ratio for white students to white tenured and tenure-track faculty is 37-1. And whereas practitioners and policymakers will utilize race-conscious perspectives in making decisions to improve the success of Black students. And whereas a race-conscious perspective is defined as being conscious of how institutional racism shapes education access, educational trauma, opportunity, lack of culturally relevant practices, and success in the U.S. for people of color, justice-impacted families, and other minoritized groups. And whereas 37% of Black community college students earn a degree, certificate, or transfer within 6 years, and only 3% of Black students in California community colleges transfer within 2 years, and only 35% of Black students transfer to a public university within 6 years. And whereas the state of California and the California community college system need to address structural insecurities of Black student success by the way of policy efforts and advocacy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees, hereby reaffirm the commitment to remove systemic barriers for Black and African American students by working collaboratively with our governing board, the California Community College System, as well as local, state, and federal governments, businesses, and community-based organizations to provide race-conscious decision-making in support of Black community college students as they complete their academic programs, and as a Black students transition to a four-year college or university or unemployment, and be it further resolved that as the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees affirm our commitment to foster a culture in which all members of Black and African American community feel safe, respected, and valued, are invited to participate fully, share their unique gifts, talents, and backgrounds, increasingly recognize the value of perspectives that differ from their own, and understand that diversity and inclusion are key priorities of the Desert Community College District. And be it further resolved that we support the following recommendations be implemented to support Black and African American students at California community colleges. The recommendations developed by the California Community Colleges Black and African American Advisory Panel equitize funding across public post-secondary education for lower division courses, and increase the Cal Grant to cover the total cost in attendance, and update the Cal Grant eligibility requirements to meet the needs of Black community college students, explore options to allow students to use the Cal Grant to attend out-of-state institutions, and reinvest in California community colleges, student equity and achievement program, and allocate COVID-19 stimulus funding with race-conscious perspective. This joint resolution of the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees is hereby passed and adopted this 18th day of June 2020 by the following vote. President Kinnaman.
Let's first see if we have other discussion before President Kinnaman conducts the vote.
Chairman John, this is Trustee Mary Jane Sanchez.
Yes.
This is the best in my life. I am so honored that that our board adopts this resolution that we adopted throughout the state of California Community College League. This is my honor to bring forth this resolution to our board. Thank you.
And thank you for your work in bringing it to the board. Is there other discussion? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Student Trustee Chavez Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan. Trustee Stefan.
Aye. Sorry.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. We move to item 14.02, resolution number 061820-5, ordering consolidated governing board member biennial election, specifications of the election order and request for consolidation. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 061820-5, ordering consolidated governing board member biennial election, specifications of the election order, and request for consolidation as presented?
So move, Wilson.
Is there a second?
Second, Trustee Perez.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Moving to 14.03, Board Policy 6500, Property Management, second reading. Do I have a motion to approve Board Policy 6500, Property Management, for a second reading as presented?
So moved, Wilson.
Second?
Second, Trustee Stefan.
Discussion on item 14.03.
We do have the copy there. Thank you.
Hearing no discussion, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item 14.04, Board Policy 6520, Security for District Property, second reading. Do I have a motion to approve Board Policy 6520, Security for District Property, for a second reading as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
Second? Do I hear a second?
So moved, Wilson.
Any discussion? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustees Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Moving to item 16.01, budget revisions. Do I have a motion to approve the budget revisions as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
Is there a second?
Second, Trustee Perez.
Any discussion? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Chavez-Chaidez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Moving to item 16.02, 2020 to 2021 tentative budget. Do I have a motion to approve the 2020-2021 tentative budget as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
Is there a second?
Second, Trustee Perez.
Discussion on item 16.02, tentative budget.
Could we just have a brief, quick explanation at this point?
Vice President Ramont, would you like to kind of give an overview? I think you've got through 2022-23 here, and what?
Yeah, Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. Referring back to my presentation, this budget that's being presented to you, again, is a placeholder that allows us legally to start incurring expenses on July 1st. And this is provided in the usual format that we do, which also includes multi-year projections. And it's important to understand that projections are not predictions or forecasts that where I try to speculate anything, but it takes in the things that we know and essentially projects them out into the future. And this particular budget shows that if we were to wind up with cuts that reflect what's going on in the grid without adjusting for expenditures, that we would, it would deplete our reserves pretty quickly, because what you're seeing is that the line that I always look to is the change in fund balance, which is right towards the bottom of the page. And you see that this year overall, between both our restricted and unrestricted, we would be looking at a negative 7.3 million next year. In the following year, that structure stays the same. And again, this was being right now, because we don't really know what we're going to have for revenues. We as cabinet have developed and are continually working on plans to be able to adjust to whatever our actual revenues are and still maintain specific reserves and be able to deal with whatever comes our way, because I think we're in a very resilient position. And again, this budget, don't read too much into it until we start getting real numbers from whatever the state actually passes.
Vice President Vermont, as we all know, there are many community college districts who are looking at a more dismal projection. Perhaps this might be an opportunity for you to help people understand why we are in a relatively good position. When we look back, we have tried to be very prudent in our fiscal management and working with all of our stakeholders. And as we have looked at the way we do our enrollment management and under the new student-centered funding formula, last year we wound up doing very good in responding to and meeting the performance measures that are in the student-centered funding formula. And as a result, when the system did recalculations on things, which they do every February, they funded us additional money from the 18-19 year, which provided some one-time resources that help bolster our ending fund balance and keep us resilient in planning for next year and the years beyond. The other thing is we're also very fortunate in that we have some other funds that the board has set aside, including reserves for our post-employment liabilities, as well as we're also very fortunate to have our redevelopment funds. And those funds are legally allowable to borrow against. So as we go forward, and we look at what the state might do in deferring revenue. And in other words, what they say is, you may be eligible for this revenue, but we're not going to be able to pay it this year. So in the meantime, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to pay for all of your expenses and your payroll and everything like that. So again, because our district is well positioned, we've been very prudent in our management. We have the very fortunate cash positions that we are in a position to be much more resilient. Tied to the fact that also we've been growing in a time when most colleges in the system have been declining, and they've already been dealing with declining revenues even before this. While we have been really focused on our growth and had enormous growth that the state has funded for the last several years, and we've been very fortunate in that. All those together put us in a picture that is unlike most community colleges out there and puts us in a very fortunate position. Thank you. I think that was helpful for people to understand how we stand in relation to other districts, which I'm sure that people have heard are struggling mightily right now.
I do have one question though. Even though right now we stand in a fairly stable position, I don't know, I'll say it's stable, because I don't think that, the reason, what I'd like to ask is, moving forward, I'm looking at the potential that things could be worse, or they may stay the same, which might not be good. But with the projected budget cuts, what do you think our chances are of replacing individuals that may have retired? What about some other issues that are expanding our personnel?
Yeah, thank you, Trustee.
What does that outlook look like? Yeah.
Your executive team with the president have worked on making sure that as we go through and identify setting goals and priorities to address any shortfall. And so things like vacant positions, they're going to be scrutinized very carefully. And we're going to be focusing on just our core services, our core functions. And we're not going to be able to be looking at expanding certain things. We have, since the shelter-in-place order, we have been reducing expenditures, particularly in things like travel and all that. And we're also seeing our efficiencies climb. So I think that, again, we're well structured to weather the storm, and we're anticipating it. And should we have brighter days sooner than expected, that'll help us to be poised to expand in the future. But right now, I'm very confident in our ability to respond and adjust regardless to whatever the situation is.
Okay, thank you.
President Kinnaman, do you have enrollment projections which really would impact on future budget decision?
You know, right now our summer enrollments in Southern California are up significantly. Most districts are also projecting lower fall estimates for this fall semester. However, we're so far from the fall enrollments being all brought in that we expect those to rise as well. And then I would also invite Vice President Ramont as far as the funding model and the hold harmless and how that might impact our funding if we ended up below current levels.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. You know, under the new student-centered funding formula, our FTS counts are funded at a 3-year moving average, which softens any kind of blow and as far as any immediate drop-offs or anything like that. When I do the modeling, I'm still actually including a modest growth in our forecast because, that we're all assuming that the COVID effects are going to be somewhat temporary. And we've been on a track where we've been growing significantly. We still see a lot of demand in the future for the college in certain areas for growth and developing new programs. So we're well poised for those things. But the formula does protect us and gives us that kind of soft cushion should enrollment decline over time, but it won't have an immediate impact in the next year.
Thank you. Is there other discussion?
Yes, Chairman John, Trustee Mary Jane, question.
Yes.
I'm looking at the line item in regards always on the federal the CARES Act. I'm curious if we are taking in mind there will be another law passed or some other funding formulas in the federal level. Are we taking that in consideration when you're looking at this budget for next year as well?
Thank you, Trustee Sanchez-Fulton. No, in that we tend to budget for the things that we know, and I don't have the luxury of being able to speculate. So we'll definitely be prepared should that happen. But until that time, we look to what resources we actually have available But we have included in our current budgets, in fact, we have in the revisions the CARES funding that we're eligible for. And we've been very fortunate on that side. And we've seen, I think it was yesterday that the news was released that California's had filed a lawsuit against the federal government as to their definition for what students were eligible for CARES funding. And that injunction is probably going to allow us to serve more students going forward. So it's an emerging topic that we'll be discussing internally too. But we have some good resources, and anything that's been identified that we're eligible for, we definitely bring that in. But we can't try to guess what might happen at a federal level with some of that other thing. So that would not be included as far as like a HEROES Act.
Right. Just maybe rephrase it. So we did get that funding for this during this period. That was my concern. That was allocated for all California colleges and universities throughout the country.
Yes, and we received just under $7.5 million that we're eligible for.
That's what I wanted our community to know about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Student Trustee Chavez Chides.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Moving to item 16.03, resolution number 061820-1, adoption of education protection account funding and expenditures. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 061820-1, adoption of education protection account funding and expenditures as presented?
So move, Trustee Stefan.
Is there a second?
Second, Wilson.
Is there a discussion on item 16.03?
Mr. Chair, this is Trustee Wilson. Can we just have a brief presentation on this item?
Certainly. President Kinnaman?
Yes, Vice President Vermont, you're on stage today.
Yeah, you're all going to be sick of me before long here. Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. This goes back to Prop 30 from 2012, in which taxes were set aside to keep districts from getting additional cuts. And of course, this is right on the tail end of the Great Recession. And we still receive those funds. And as it sits now, the way the proposition was written, and it's legally required for us to bring this back to the board every year and for us to post it on our website, what we anticipate to receive and how we anticipate to spend those revenues. And we state in there that those revenues are spent strictly on instructor salaries and benefits. And again, this is an annual thing that we're required to bring legally.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certainly. Student Trustee Chavez Chides.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay. Thank you. Item 16.04, resolution number 061820-2, appropriations subject to Proposition 4, GAN limitation. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 061820-2, appropriations subject to Proposition 4, GAN limitation, as presented?
So move, Trustee Stefan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Who made the second, please?
Trustee Sanchez Fulton did.
Thank you. Discussion on item 16.04.
Could we have an explanation on this as well?
Vice President Vermont.
Yeah, thank you. This is another item that we're required by law to bring every year. And the GAN limit is a piece of legislation that seeks to limit government spending from going out of control. So we're limited by two things, our workload and the cost of living adjustment. And if we were to exceed that, the board would need to make a resolution explaining why our spending is increasing faster than that. Fortunately, we're well under that. So this again is our statement saying that we are in compliance with the GAN limit legislation.
Thank you.
Any discussion? President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Student Trustee Chavez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Item 16.05, resolution number 06120-3, temporary loan. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 061820-3 for the temporary loan as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second, Trustee Perez.
Thank you. Discussion on item resolution for temporary loan.
Vice President Vermont, could you provide explanation on this, please?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. This is a resolution we bring to the board every year. And this year is going to be particularly important because what this resolution does is this allows us to borrow as allowed in law from other funds to meet cash flow needs in our unrestricted general fund or any other fund that requires it. For example, our child development fund is a reimbursement program. So we put out the expenses first and then the state basically pays us after we provide the services, which means we have to cover those costs, the cash up front so that we can make payroll and all that sort of thing. This year with so many cash deferrals being projected or being proposed for next year, we haven't had to deal with that for a while. And our expenses, like for right now, our payroll every month is about $5.2 million. And we have to have cash available to be able to make that obligation. And when the state defers money, they're waiting before they pay us what they owe us. And it can be quite some time before we have the need to be able to make those payments and when the state actually pays us for that. So this allows us to borrow from our redevelopment funds and some other things. It doesn't increase expenditures. It's a cash thing, which people get a little confused sometimes on the budget and the cash side, but this makes sure that we have appropriate cash flow to meet all of our obligations, but it does not have a budgetary effect.
Thank you. Any other discussion? President Kinnaman, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Certain. Student Trustee Chavez.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Moving to item 17, this is an information-only item. Administrative Procedure Review 4105, Distant Education, has been brought today as an information item only. This administrative procedure has gone through Executive Cabinet and the College Planning Council. We have acknowledged receiving it. Item 18, study session. As we moved the agenda, the 2020-2021 tentative budget information was presented earlier in President Kinnaman's remarks and then questioned before the vote. So we have covered that item in our change of order. Future agenda items, please submit any future agenda items you may have to the board secretary and they will be incorporated into the meeting minutes. As we come to the end of our meeting, I'd like to acknowledge the news of the recent passing of longtime Coachella Valley leader and former Riverside County Supervisor Patricia Corky Larson. Corky had a passion for public service with more than 3 decades of experience and as elected official, starting with 2 terms on the Palm Springs Unified School District Board of Trustees. In 1982, she was elected to the Riverside County Board of Supervisors and went on to serve 3 terms. During her tenure, she helped complete the first regional plan for conservation of an endangered species, the 1986 Coachella Valley Fringe-Toed Lizard Habitat Plan. It was only the second of its kind in the nation. Corky was instrumental in the expansion of the courthouse in Indio, which is named the Larson Justice Center in her honor. Following her service as supervisor, she was named the executive director of the Coachella Valley Association of Governments for 8 years and briefly served as the interim city attorney and interim city manager for Desert Hot Springs. She returned to public service in 2000, serving 3 terms on the Coachella Valley Water District Board of Directors and was a founding member of the Salt and Sea Authority. Corky also created the Regional Access Project Foundation in 1992 as a public benefit corporation to address unmet needs in health, mental health, and juvenile intervention for residents of Eastern Riverside County through grants and technical assistance to not-for-profit service providers. College of the Desert has received more than $100,000 for our nursing and hospitality programs and student scholarships since the year 2005. Her work has had an enormous impact on the Valley, and she will be greatly missed. So today we close our meeting in honor of this remarkable Coachella Valley visionary leader. And I would say personally, it was my pleasure to know her and work with her in past years. At this time, 11:30, the board will recess to close session. The live streaming portion of this video will conclude. Should there be any reportable action, I will report it to the board secretary, which will get incorporated into the meeting minutes and posted before the end of business today. As it is now 11:30, let's take a 10-minute break and reconvene in closed session at 11:40 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.